Hello everyone, welcome to the 16th of January, which is this one here. So you can see I've got 15 done so far. I'm just about to start the 16th. Sometimes I have a look online to see if it's you know, a kind of international, I don't know, turnip throwing day or international roll of cheese down a hill day. I don't think turnip throwing is real, by the way. Don't throw turnips, it's dangerous. But what I did find is today, apparently, is International Nothing Day. So we're not supposed to be doing anything today, and of course doing nothing is impossible. So of course I'm going to do something. What I am going to do is I'm going to use one of the shapes that comes with the 2026 template. So that's a kind of diamond shape. I don't want it that big, so I'm going to make myself a new one, a bit smaller. So I'm going to use this to draw around. This is just a scrap of lightweight card. And then I'm going to just cut it about, what's that, 3 or 4 millimeters from the edge, just to make it a little bit smaller. Because we're going to have some fun with International Nothing Day. There we go, that's more like the size I wanted. So I'm just going to lightly draw around this, and I am going to do it very lightly, because what I'm going to do, I think, is stitch the negative space. There we go, that is quite lightly drawn. And today I've gone for, I felt this needed sort of brightening up a bit now that we're sort of heading towards spring. We're halfway through January already. So I've got this kind of warm tones, reds and browns. It's a Silk Pearl 12, one of my own hand-dyed ones. And I think what I'm going to do is some very tiny seed stitches. And that just means little isolated straight stitches facing all different directions, fairly evenly spaced. I think I might actually want them a bit smaller than that. Looks like I've made a little angry face there, doesn't it? Nothing angry about today, is there? And I'm just going to carry on with this. And when I get to the lines that I've drawn, I'm going to kind of not go over those lines. I'm not going to outline it, but I'm not going to stitch in this middle space. I'm going to fill this outer space fairly densely, leaving that middle space empty. So I'm just coming down this other edge. And I'm doing some stitches aligning with it and some stitches at an angle to it. And if it works, it's going to be a kind of nothingness in the middle here. We'll see how it looks. And of course it's impossible to do nothing, isn't it? Even if you're sitting doing what you think is nothing, you are doing something because you're sitting. So you know, we are something, and we're always doing something. I think nothingness is an interesting philosophical concept. Even if we can't really be nothing, because everything is something. When your threads run out, try and work your way back to an edge, because it's much easier to fasten your thread off at the edge than it is to try and fasten it off in one of these stitches. You can just bury it under that grid line. Just a few little stitches along there and it'll be fine. And then you can start your new thread in the same place, just start it on the edge and work your way in. And seed stitch is quite meditative really, once you find a rhythm with it. And it's kind of like life really. You're taking a step and then looking around and finding a space to take another step. The very opposite of doing nothing really, because what we're doing here is filling the space. I also think though sometimes seed stitch behaves a little bit like white noise. It sort of creates a background texture without being too much of a colour, if you know, if that makes any sense. So you can see these stitches are quite small, and if you find you've missed a bit, just go back and fill it in. And again, I'm coming up to the edge of this shape and I'm not going over the line. I think it's sometimes really effective to fill a negative space like this. You know, thinking about how you arrange stitches in these daily blocks. And sometimes it's nice to do it the other way around and stitch the background rather than the centre. Just coming to the end of this thread and don't know if I've got enough. I think I have. Nice when that happens, isn't it? When you've just exactly got enough thread. I'm just going to fill in a few of these spaces because I started in this corner and stitches were a little bit too far apart and too big. So there we are, January the 16th, International Nothing Day. We have a little space here with nothing in it. So I hope you can find some space in your day for nothing. And I'll see you next week.